faces from around the world. And today, joining me in this very special broadcast is one of India's greatest athletes, mother daughter champion, as we call her, Sania Mirza. Welcome from your house in Hyderabad. Both of
Thank
us
you.
here in lockdown, 1.3 billion in lockdown. This country is clearly, by using containment and social distancing, trying to get its mojo back against this deadly virus. My first question, in lockdown with a mother and parents, how are you dealing with this?
Um, I think that it's a tough situation for everyone, and honestly, it's tough on others than it is on us. I have to say, I don't want to sound ungrateful by saying that I'm in a house, I'm safe, I have food to eat, and I'm comfortable, and so is everybody else at home, and I'm really grateful and thankful for that. But there are millions out there who basically don't have places to live or food to eat. So I think this lockdown has put a lot of things in perspective for a lot of people, or at least I hope it has. I think it's brought to a large extent humanity together, and that's really, I think, and has brought love back a little bit. And I think just as humans, people have reconnected with each other, whether it's on social media, and you've reconnected with people you have never met or never have known. So I think it's with a 17-month-old toddler in my house, it's getting more and more difficult to entertain him on a daily basis, and getting harder and harder to put him to bed every night. But I think that all in all, it's been good. We're all healthy, which is the most important thing.
That's the point. Ultimately, you've got to be safe, you've got to be healthy. If I can take you to sport, Sanya, I mean, all of us have been contemplating this. There are articles now. Some people, health experts, infectious disease experts like Anthony Fauci saying sooner sport will probably come back, but with empty stands. Tennis, in that sense, has an advantage because it's an individual sport rather than a team sport. What is your take on sport coming back gradually and perhaps coming back with empty stands to start with?
I don't know if tennis has an advantage, because I think tennis is a very global sport, and the biggest. I think the minute you travel, the second that you travel, you become compromised as a person at the moment, the way things are. And I think that I don't necessarily think that tennis has an advantage, because I think it's played in so many countries, over about 200 countries. So even if the virus lingers around in one of those countries, I don't see how it's possible to keep having tournaments where people are not able to travel. So I do think that, so I think the counter argument to that is that I don't think tennis really has an advantage, so to say. I think that there are sports that are probably that play country versus country that probably have more of an advantage, because if suppose, India is free of the virus, and say Sri Lanka is free of the virus, they can go and play cricket in each other's countries. And I think that that's probably more possible than, India or playing tennis, for example. So I think that tennis has been hit really badly. Sport has been hit really badly. It's really sad to switch on the TV, and I don't remember the last time that I've not seen live sport on television, any kind of sport. And I think it is really sad. But I do hope that if this is a possibility and people stay safe in this possibility, sure, why not? But I think that it's still really early to kind of talk about it. I do think sport will come back eventually, but I don't think it's going to happen in the next 2 months or something, like, unless magically this virus just vanishes from the air. So
Yeah, I tend to agree with you about the time frame. I mean, what I want to know maybe a little bit more is, you guys play for fans. I mean, and fans cheer you on. That atmosphere at Wimbledon, where, for example, when you win the Wimbledon trophy. But at the same time, I mean, there is only a finite number of fans who can come into a stadium, and there is a bigger world with broadcasters, with sponsors, with the virtual world, which consumes a Sania Mirza, which consumes a Roger Federer. Are you okay? Are you okay if, for example, we can get people treated, get them tested? Okay, there is a contained atmosphere within, say, maybe 100 people inside a stadium. Everyone's been tested and it's proven safe. Are you willing or okay? Will you consider playing in front of empty stands for television?
I think that it's beggars can't be choosers kind of situation right now, right? Like, what is the other option if we don't play in front of? Of course, it's not ideal. Of course, we want to play, for the fans. We want to come out. It's an amazing, electrifying atmosphere when we are, for example, out there, and you walk onto a center center court or a stadium and you've got these fans cheering for you. There is nothing that can replace that. But what is the other option if we say, no, we don't want to play without fans? Then we don't play tennis at all, or we don't play sport at all. And I don't know if that's a better option. So I don't really think that I would personally have a problem with it. But I do, for me, I think the travel is a bigger issue. Like, to actually travel to get to the tournament. I mean, how are you going to get to the tournament 2 weeks before? You have to get to every tournament 2 weeks before, because that's how much it takes that much time, and to show the virus. I mean, there's so many other issues that go with it. So I don't think that it's as simple as, okay, let's not have fans and then have a sport. It's not as simple as that. I think there's a lot more that goes into it, and there's a lot more risks involved. So I do, but personally, if you ask me, would I play in an empty stadium? Yes, I mean, I would. If I would get to play the game, I worked for 2 years to come back to playing tennis. I came back from giving birth and all that stuff, and then obviously it's been stopped midway. So why would I would give everything to get back to playing tennis again.
Sania, if I can sort of try and dig out positives in this atmosphere of gloom, when I think of you and you per se, before I move on and ask some general questions of you, in your career, I mean, you were trying to make a comeback with a view on Tokyo 2020, which will now be 21. So does this actually give you a bit of a headroom that, okay, you've got this year, and physically, and this year, whenever sport starts, whether it's 2 months, 3 months, 6 months down the line, you can actually give it a realistic shot come Tokyo 2021 because of the extra time that you've now got in hand?
No, not really, actually. I think that I was ready to play to Tokyo 2020, and which is why I made this comeback. I mean, if I would have been ready to play in 2019, I would have come back then. So I don't think that this necessarily gives, headroom, and at least not to me. I think that if at all, it actually is a bit of a negative for me, because I'll be a year older next year, and I'm not on the younger side of a tennis player. So it's not something that is ideal in this scenario. I had gotten back to, it's a process to getting back to playing a certain level of sport. It's a process, and it takes time. You have to play tournaments, you win some, you lose some. And I had gotten myself back to playing at a very high level again. So that rhythm is kind of going to stop again. And then you have to kind of rebuild all of it all over again. So, I mean, there are a lot of things that are, that will go into it. So, 2021 now is a long distance away. I mean, it's more than a year away now, the Olympics. And we're hoping that sport is obviously going to start on a normal scenario much before that. Hopefully I'll be playing. That's all I can say. Hopefully I can make another comeback.
Fingers crossed. I'm sure you will be playing. 2 questions. One, below the Sania Mirza strata, I mean, the Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic, Rafael Nadal is not the tennis world. Even Sania Mirza, Leander Paes, Mahesh Bhupathi is not the tennis world. There are hundreds and hundreds of players. There are groundsmen, there are technical people, there's support staff. These guys are the worst hit. While we talk of livelihoods going, there is this massive sporting industry in the world, which includes tennis. Have you seen any initiative? I was seeing Mahesh and Somdev and people trying to do something. Have you seen?
Yeah, actually, led by Somdev, all of us are trying to raise some funds for the ball boys and the markers, and even certain tennis players. I mean, I don't think that, I think there's a myth that everybody thinks that every tennis player makes enough money to live very comfortably. It's not like that. It's not as simple as that. There are still people, there are journeymen who go week to week financially, and it has hit them very badly. So I was reading an article about, I think, Sumit Nagal the other day, a couple of days ago, where, he was talking about how he's kind of now, he's stuck in Germany, and now he's basically using his savings, and those savings can't be that much. He's 22 years old. So at the end of the day, it's hit everyone very badly. Of course, some people worse than the others, like I said earlier. So yeah, we are trying to do something. It's called Love All. And Somdev, kind of reached out to all of us and said that, let's try and do something. So we obviously donated, and we are going to try to raise as much as possible. Besides that, I mean, I'm doing something with a completely different charity for which I've raised over 2.5 crores with Safa Society, and the initiative is called Youth Feed India.
Sania, actually, that is my question, and I'm getting a question which I will pose to you from Rahul Mukherjee saying, as an icon, I mean, you have greater responsibility. Thanks for the question, Rahul. As an icon, can you tell us, what is the kind of responsibility, or what are the kind of things that you have done? Because one, to create awareness using who you are, your persona, and your fandom. I mean, people who follow you. What have you done to sort of create awareness and the tangible difference that you've made in? Because I've been watching you. You've stepped out. You've tried to help people. Just give me a sense of what you've done over the last 1 month.
Well, I think that honestly, very, very honestly, I don't actually like to talk about everything that I do. I mean, this is not something that we do in the whole month. We do it throughout the year. I mean, you know it, you're a family friend, so you know what we do in Ramzan or out of Ramzan and the girls that we educate and stuff like this. But this kind of emergency that we had over a month ago is something that nobody could have thought of. And, suddenly you saw pictures of people with kids on their shoulders walking for like 500-600 kilometers without any food, without any water, and you just felt like you almost felt a little guilty to be privileged sitting in a house. You want so no matter what you do is less in today's time and age. A bunch of friends of mine over here, basically in Hyderabad, tied up with an NGO called Safa Society, and they basically I donated to them, which is how the initiative of Youth Feed India started at that point. It started on the 21st of March. And, we donated to them. And then I thought to myself that donating is one thing, but I felt that I had the reach to sort of try to reach out to more people and try to help people, not just as an individual, but as a movement, and try to create a movement out of it. And I think that everybody involved in the Youth Feed India initiative has worked so hard. Like I said, we've raised over 2.5 crore rupees in the last 1 month, which is huge amount of money as just young individuals. They come from all over the country. We've provided ration and food for like people in Hyderabad, Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, Karnataka. Lakhs and lakhs of meals have gone out. Over 2.5 lakh families have been helped. So, I mean, that's all. But the thing is, no matter what we do, it's not enough, right? That's the point I'm trying to make. And we got to keep the donations coming. We have to keep the work going, because there are more starving people in the country at the moment.
On that note, Sania, the other thing, you're also a symbol of women empowerment. I mean, we've in multiple conversations in the past, you've highlighted this. I mean, I was seeing a National Council Women report where issues of domestic violence have started to go up. I mean, in lockdown, there are these issues which was also placed before the Supreme Court, I think, day before yesterday. Can you talk about that? I mean, because this is an alarming trend, and with the country still in lockdown for 17 days, icons like you have to come out and spread this message, because this is something that is just cannot be done. We all need to be united. And united.
No, I think no, we need to be united, but I think that it is a simple sort of mindset that you need to change, and that has to happen, unfortunately, over time, which comes very naturally to you and I, that men and women need to be treated equally in terms of equal opportunity, need to be given the same kind of respect when they enter a room, and blah blah blah. But obviously, it doesn't come naturally to a lot of people, like you're saying, and you're saying that I also read that report actually, that that domestic violence has gone up. Why has it gone up? Because men are frustrated at home and they're taking it out on their wives. Like, is it as simple as that? Is it because they think that, oh yeah, she's there, so where else am I going to take my frustration out? So I'm saying, like, how to us it sounds absurd. To a lot of people, it sounds very normal that, yeah, I mean, where else is he going to take his frustration out? He's not going to office, he's not going to work, he must be angry or he must be upset. So, I mean, I condemn this. Like, I do it all the time. I mean, even when I work with the UN, we speak about it, about how women should be treated equally on every level that there is. I mean, and by equally, we don't mean, oh, okay, yeah, physically we are going to hit you and, we are as strong as you. Of course not. We're talking about equal opportunity, equal respect, demanding equal respect. And I think that the onus is on the women too, to demand that respect and to command it, because at the end of the day, if you don't believe you're equal, nobody's going to believe you're equal either.
The question, Sania, that's a very good answer. There's a question from Suresh Raina, a common friend, who says, Sania, we are both young parents. Sania Mirza, how are you dealing with Izan at these times? In fact, just before the show began, Izan was trying to come into the frame and I was encouraging him to do that. To keep them cheerful is a very important task of each parent at these times. You've got a 17-month-old. How are you dealing with him?
Yeah, it's not easy, I have to say. I mean, he has been, I've noticed in the last few days, he's been getting a lot more crankier. Because, I mean, it must be getting to him too, not being able to work, because he is sensing. I mean, I think we underestimate how much kids understand, even kids that young. I think he is sensing a certain, like, disorientation of what's going on. He's like, why am I not leaving the house? It's been over a month, he's not left home. So I think that it's challenging for sure, Suresh. And you have two of them now, so I think that it is very, very challenging. It's tough enough with one, and I think that we just got to try and keep them positive. I mean, I think the one thing that I'm trying to follow is not put him in a routine, because the minute you put them in a routine, they get bored at that age. So that's one thing that I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to keep it different every day, whether putting him in, a small pool one of the days, or one of the days I'm just like taking him. Thankfully, I've got a tennis court at home, so I can put him on the tennis court and he just kind of runs around. We've got a bit of a garden area, so just trying to keep it different.
Another question. There are lots of questions now coming in, Sania, for you. I'll take one from Rajdeep, our colleague. Rajdeep asks, how does she see future of live sport in a post-COVID world?
I definitely think it's going to be a little different. I don't know how different, but I do think that in general, life is going to change. I think that we are all going to be really wary of each other. It's already changed, right? You meet people, you don't shake hands, you don't really hug. I mean, those are the people that you wouldn't even think before just putting a hand on their shoulder, but you don't do that anymore. And I do think that live sport is going to change as well. There's a lot of thought process that's going to go into it, but I do think that it's not going to be the same for a while.
My answer to that is slightly different. I agree with you, but I think it's a temporary phenomenon of a year or maybe 18 months.
I hope so.
Because from what I've read around the world, the vaccine will come. And based on the research that I've read, sooner than later, maybe 12, maybe 18, the vaccine will come. And my understanding is sport will actually come back stronger. The virtual consumption of sport in the interim will be stronger because we are all starved. So when the vaccine comes and we have a post-corona world, it'll be something that this world will look at as a world's coming out.
I mean, the thing is that we've gone through a similar scenario, almost 100 years ago, right? Or over 100 years ago. And life did come back to being normal, I guess. But I think that eventually, yeah, I think we're going to, and I really hope you're right. And I do think that we're all going to come back to living normal lives. And this is going to be in the past, and, there'll be a vaccine and there'll be a cure for it. So, hopefully we'll all be okay. But I think that it's going to take some time, though. It's going to take some time for live sport or sport in general to just kind of get that momentum again and get back to where it was.
I agree. I don't have too much time left. My last 5 minutes on the show, Sania. One, and this is something I want to ask. I mean, when you see sport return, whenever that is, maybe 6 months down the line, maybe 9 months down the line, I was reading this report from FIFA that we have to bring sport back and make it far more inclusive, because the responsibility that sport will now have to reach out to the masses, to make a difference to the masses, maybe not the breakdown, that pay gap between a Roger Federer and the last man down. Do you see sport changing, people introspecting, making a difference to society?
Most definitely. I think that everything will change. And I think that, like I said in my first answer of this interview, I said that perspective has changed of life. I don't think any of us ever dreamt that we would be living these days where we would be in a house and not be able to travel. I mean, I've been traveling since I was 12 years old. I don't remember the last time that I stayed in my house for 5 weeks without going, at least for a day somewhere. And taking a flight has become something that you're going to think about a couple of times before you do it. And I think that definitely it's going to change. I definitely think that people are going to introspect. I mean, WTA and ATP for the first time have come together in something called Tennis United, which is a program that they're doing together. That already is a step forward, where as a community we're coming together. We're not coming together as two separate federations, two separate associations. We're coming together to men and women are coming together. So I think that it's definitely going to change. And I do really hope that, they are going to sort of think about the journeymen, so to say. And it's not, the sport doesn't only protect or sort of help people who are right at the top. Hopefully people who play a decent level of sport as well, which is, even if they are 200 or 300 in the world, I think that they deserve to be, okay when something like this happens.
Sania, one more. I mean, this is a two-pronged challenge. One is mental, because you are cooped up at home, and here I'm talking about the less privileged. Maybe in a smallish room there are 5 or 6 people, so it's a huge mental challenge. And there is also a physical challenge for people like you to keep fit. So my last question in that sense is, how do you deal? Because in your case, you've undergone multiple operations. They are mental challenges. Can I come back? I mean, I'm thinking of one operation where you could not even lift your hand for about some months. So to deal with this mentally and physically, can you tell me what you are doing so that the larger mass who follow Sania Mirza can also think how to grapple with this challenge mentally and physically?
I think the most important thing is to try and stay positive. I think that is a very big challenge, because mentally to try and stay positive in a scenario like this is not easy. But the thing is, you have to look at it and you have to see it from a point of view that you are at least safe in a house. I mean, when it comes to us, there's always somebody who's struggling a bit more than you. And I think that you have to stay positive. You have to try and help whoever you can. You have to try to, sort of just wake up every morning and say that we are going to get through this, because I do believe that we are going to get through this. And I do think that it's very important that within yourself you believe that. Physically, to stay in shape, I mean, it's not just to stay in shape. I mean, it improves your immunity. If not for staying in shape, at least you go and exercise so that you feel better, health wise, because it's proven that fitness improves your immunity. Also, as I think, as athletes, honestly, I think we're all struggling a little bit to sort of work for something where we are so uncertain. We have no goal. Like, we don't know when we're going to come back. We don't know what are we working for. For example, if I'm doing something, usually I know that I'm doing this because I want to play the Australian Open or Wimbledon or the Olympics. I don't know what I'm working for. But that's the challenge of finding it, that if today I work for it, then it's only the tennis that needs to come back when I come back to playing. At least physically, I'll be in good shape. So I think you just have to kind of find your own sort of ways around it, and you have to find your methods around it. But I do think that staying positive will help a lot. Like, drink a lot of water, sleep a lot. I mean, we are never going to get this chance again, right? We're never ever going to. When are we going to have this much time at hands? I hope we are not going to have this much time at hands ever again.
None of us will ever want it. None of us will ever want it. But my time is up, so I'll just sum up saying three things. One, Sania Mirza very rightly said, you and I need to stay positive, because until and unless you stay positive, we will not win this. This is also a mental battle. Containment, being at home during lockdown, to make it successful, you need to believe that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And trust you me, the medical fraternity, everyone else, there is light at the end of the tunnel. The world is far too strong for a virus to beat it. And each of us believe it. That's what Sania is telling you. Number two, sport will come back stronger. Number three, and this is vitally important, each of us, irrespective of religion, caste, creed, color, whatever profession we are in, we need to stay strong. Because this world is far, far stronger than whatever virus, wherever it's coming from, however powerful it is. Keep watching the India Today e-Conclave for many such conversations with best of the people from across the world. As far as sport is concerned, I will come back next week with Rohit Sharma and many others. But for the moment, Sania Mirza, you remain an absolute champion.
Thank
Mother,
you.
daughter,
Stay
champion.
safe, guys. Stay safe.
And take care. Thanks for watching.
Bye.